Are you ready to feel more energized, focused, and supported? Go to layeredsuperfood.com and add nourishing plant-based foods to fuel you from sunrise to sunset. Use our promo code Dr. D at checkout to save 15% off your purchase today.
1, 2, ready for the interview. And if you get a cue live on a laptop, watch what I'm gonna do. Welcome to the show, let them know we got a point of view. Hey, yo, let's have a combo. Say what you feel, be real, that's the motto. Real talk, pronto, Dr. D, PhD, hit an intro. Hold up, wait, gotta be social. Network global, a home for the local. Gotta be social. Network global, a home for the local.
Bam, bam, bam. Just like that.
Yeah.
I'm
I
so
need an intro
professional
like
now.
that.
I'm so professional now, Brad. I got lucky. My brother's a musician, so he took care of all that for me with
Oh,
that.
man.
So, yeah,
Was
he's
that you
awesome.
singing?
That was him. That was
Oh,
him. Yeah, he does this professionally. This is his job, doing like intros, jingles. He's a hip hop artist. He travels the world. It's awesome, man. Great.
oh,
Big
that's so
shout out to
cool.
Worksmith there.
There we go.
Brad, we're going to talk about over 40 fitness hacks today.
Yeah. You can talk about whatever you want. I don't want to be the
Yeah.
boring guest. I see the variety on your show, so feel free to dig in wherever you want.
You're definitely not boring, but this is a good place to start because we've both been in the business a pretty long time. So I'm actually curious kind of about that, but also like where did the over 40 fitness hacks kind of conversation start or kind of movement start for you?
Yeah. So I think over the last 14 years, of all the gyms and trainers I've met and even my clients, after COVID kind of dismantled a lot of stuff for us, and a lot of us were kind of pushed online by force, which we should have been ready for that anyways. I consolidated. I at one point had 4 gyms down to 1. And so kind of, always knew that you needed kind of a niche. And my kind of niche was like the average Joe, average Jane's gym, and just, more about the vibe and fun atmosphere. And I thought that was kind of my niche. But, in the online world, you need a little bit more than that. So I kind of was just, looking like what kind of clients have I been training this whole time? And pretty much it's been over 40. And that's in my area who could afford personal trainers here in Orange County. And then the other part was, well, what else besides that? And I was like, well, here in Orange County, it's different than other locations. There's just so much to do, so much fun stuff. Restaurants, bars. We've got Orange County Fairgrounds and like bands playing all the time. And so, I started thinking about like over the last 14 years, I've always had that over 40, 50 crowd. And one of the biggest things they wanted was weight loss, obviously. And why? Well, because their social life was so crazy. They were eating and drinking like garbage, and they refused to quit. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be that trainer that's going to tell them they can't. So I always tricked them and did workarounds and, at least try to make them, conform to some rules and all that kind of stuff. And I'm the same way. And lo and behold, I turned 40, a few years ago. And that's when I started my show, the Over 40 Fitness Hacks. And now I'm seeing the effects of the aging process. And I'm a personal trainer and I live in a gym. And I'm having trouble keeping this body. I'm like, oh my God, all these old guys were right. And I was beating them up all those years, telling them they need to diet better, work out more, listen to me. And now I'm having the problems. So now, very humbling experience. And I've also had a pretty serious back injury, non-fitness related. It was just a, horrible trip moving gym equipment, being the gym owner, you got to do that stuff. And since recovered from that, but now just, man, I only run one gym now with some investors. I do a lot more online stuff. I take care of my body better. Everything's quality, not quantity. And I'm in it for the end game now, not just aesthetics. So, that's all I'm interested in is overall health and wellness. How can we get humans, past 100 and, with quality too?
Yeah, most definitely. It's funny because I'm 45. I just turned 45 last Saturday, so I'm right in the
Ah,
middle of
happy
this thing, man.
birthday.
Thank you. And actually, I love being 45. I really enjoy being in my 40s. I feel like I'm so much smarter than I used to be, and I've taken care of myself, so I feel good about myself at the same time. So I'm like, I'm glad to be at this point in my life with it, but it makes me think about What has your perspective been on change on training? Like, how has that changed from the beginning to now when working with clients?
Yeah, I think, my style has always been, circuit training. So a blend of weight training, 10 to 15 to 20 reps, depending on what your goals are, and then blend it in with, slow paced cardio, more of just to get a break before you go into your next circuit of heavy weight training. And I still kind of do that, but being a little bit older, having some back issues, I've kind of adopted more of the time under tension philosophies
Yep.
of slowing everything down. 5 seconds down, 5 seconds up on every the concentric and eccentric contractions on every muscle group. Only doing like 5 to 6 reps because you're so burnt out going that slow that you can't handle it, and then just using half the weight. But you get more out of it. I'm seeing the same results as I used to, in my 30s. So I'm happy with the results and less work. I only do like 20-minute workouts now. And, everything else is just focused on, decent diet during my clean week, Monday through Friday. Weekends, I go have fun. And then, other than that, I've noticed like, you know, just the process of being over 40 and slowing down just comes with work and age. And you got a kid, I got a kid, and learning that mitochondria, your body just starts recycling its energy source throughout your cells. You don't need as much because you're not doing anything. And learning to like to do I hate high intensity training, but you got to add at least once a weekend to like rejuvenate that spark to get those energy cells. Because if you train your body to be a fat burning machine but you don't have the fat burning mechanisms in your cells, it's a waste. So just learning all this stuff that never really applied to me until I turned over 40 and was in this spot. So
I love it, man. And so, how have you related to clients over the years? Like, what were your thoughts about training people when you first got into the business? And what are your thoughts about it now as you're a veteran in the business?
yeah. So, I mean, training clients to over 40, that's always been my niche. And it's always been, you can't scare them away. So you got to start off baby steps. Doesn't even matter how, crazy they want to get, New Year's resolutions. I want to go all out. No, no, no. I've already seen this. You're going to quit. We're going to do this in baby steps. Plus, we don't know how your body's going to respond. So even
Right.
back then, I knew to do that. And plus, it was, better for the client too. So, you can assess them, make sure you're taking small steps. Now, what I was doing for myself is not that. I was still powerlifting and doing all this crazy stuff, but I had built up to that over the years. But that's kind of the style I had, and programming them, like the baby steps, and still focusing on BMR, raising your lean muscle
Hmm.
mass. It's just the best way to lose weight even today. And the only thing now is 14 years in the experience in the gym business and personal training, you just get better what better form and better ways to do things. I've talked to multiple chiropractors and physical therapists over the years, so you just start acquiring more knowledge. So I'm just more of an experienced personal trainer, but still doing that same philosophy of baby stepping the clients, making sure you assess them first. But the biggest one being, I wish I started doing a little bit more of that hit training for some of my older clients back then, had I known, and also more of the time under tension too.
How about in like how you relate to clients? Like, do you feel like as you've gotten older, like the conversations you have with them or communication is better?
Yeah, well, I think I've just always been pretty good at communications. And that's why, a lot of trainers gravitated towards my gym and clients. I was always kind of the social person. And, my biggest thing was creating that vibe in the gym of, everyone's friendly with each other. Clients are happy to be there. Just kind of more of like a cheers type, spot. And I've always held that through all my gyms. um, and a lot of my clients are good friends, and some clients will leave for whatever reason, and sure enough they come back years later. So it's just a good melting pot and recycling of clients. And now that I'm more kind of online training, I'm still getting some hitting me up, and they'd rather online train with me than pick a new gym and all that kind of stuff. And they know I'm moving too, so that's kind of the culture I've created all these years. It's just so many different things I've done wrong as being a gym owner that obviously a lot of us wish we can go back in time and fix. But this is I have no problem. One of my clients always put it pretty well. Life begins after 40. I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
that's an awesome notion. It doesn't matter what you did one to 40, because now it starts. You are a dangerous man. All your knowledge, and so I love it.
Love
I
that.
was like, gives me hope.
You're a dangerous man after 40. That is, I'm going to start using that, man. I like that. You're a dangerous man after 40.
Life begins after 45.
Yeah. Let's take it for that. Let's do that there. So as I think a lot of gym owners are going to hear this and different things. So I'm curious, what's been the best part about owning a gym and maybe the most difficult part?
Yeah, the best part about owning the gym, and it's your direction wherever you want to take it. Everyone puts their 2 cents in, but ultimately it's your decision. And I was very passionate about it. And like I said, I at one point had 4 gyms, had a great culture in each one, and you just feel like a rock star everywhere you go. So it's really knew I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and that's kind of the route I took. And it was fulfilling. I was working 80 hours or more a week, but I didn't consider it work. So that's the beauty of being out on your own and doing something you're passionate about. Like, it doesn't matter. Work is not work. I don't work.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, the worst part being, the crushing expenses of the brick and mortar game, dealing with California and all the BS, business things you hear about that. It's all true. Orange County, the competition here is just insane. I'm sure it's true of every like major city, New York, San Francisco, that kind of stuff. And then just, any law changes. At one time, California put a new law to try to fight Uber and Lyft here. It was called the AB5 law. And the workers were, not getting paid anything. So they said, fine, we want to be employees and at least get benefits. So California tried to help them and put that law out, but doing so screwed the rest of us who rented space to trainers, salons who rented their chairs, some yoga studios rented space instead of employees. And so they basically created a new rule saying if you do the same thing as the place that you're renting space from, you're not an independent contractor, you're an employee now. And so that basically threw a wrench in. And then years later, Uber and Lyft fought to get that off and won because they had the money to lobby it. And then they said they changed the rule. Oh, it doesn't apply to gig workers. But you're the ones who started this.
Yeah.
So basically left all of us screwed. So we all had to change our ways. And at that time, that was like my number one money source was renting space, not clients and that kind of stuff. And I didn't have employees. So that really hurt. So that's, you got to deal with it. There's nothing I can do to change the law. So we had to morph and change, and we consolidated down to one gym. And our loophole at the new gym was my investors, they were more into real estate and had a real estate firm of just buying and selling. And so basically we put the lease and everything under their name and just said, oh, but it has a gym downstairs. They just happen to rent to independent contractors, but they don't do the same type of business. So that was our loophole to keep going. And I'm just like, God. So yeah, doing more of the online, space. It's just one, it's more fulfilling. I just get to meet people outside of my Orange County bubble, just all over the world. It's just opened my eyes. It's been such a fulfilling thing. But I still like my local jam too. So I still go to my gym, see all the the trainers and some of my clients who stuck with me, and I just like the mix of both.
So, what was your initial impression of kind of this movement towards online virtual training, whether it was more program design or live virtual? And where do you see that going as we keep moving into this?
Yeah. Well, definitely after COVID, a lot of us had to get forced into it, and we were all pretty decent at Zoom at that point. So, trying to do a session inside of our living room on Zoom with, 10 people, quickly saw that, oh man, I don't really want to do this. And because pretty much have to work out with them.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, didn't seem as professional. Then we started messing around with this one software called True Coach, and that actually was really easy to use. Very cool. They already had all the videos uploaded, but you could upload yours if you couldn't find something. And so I started messing with that and started picking up clients and friends and family from across the US. And I just saw like, man, this is so much more scalable. And then podcasting, what hit me with podcasting was in my local network group. I'm part of a chapter here in Huntington Beach. And someone was visiting during COVID, and she was a nurse. And she just said, one thing you guys should all look at is maybe starting your own podcast. It's easy entry. There's hardly any competition compared to, YouTube influencers, Instagram influencers, that kind of stuff. And she's like, I'm a nurse, and I started selling this one protein supplement drink that was more for diabetics, and she just niched herself as a nurse trying to help diabetics with just simple nutrition. And she said, "You never know who's listening," and that stuck with me. And we're like, she quit her job; she was doing that full time. That's it. And she's like, "Where do you think most of my audience is?" We're like, "Okay, it's not the U.S. This is a trick question." We're like, "Okay, UK or something." And she said, "No, India." We're like, "India?" Like,
What?
she has no clue why. It's just whatever, a nurse talking about helping diabetics. It just hit home for, the citizens of India.
What? That's
So I
insane.
just like, man, so there's the scalability right there. So that's what stuck with me. So I started doing it. And just from that process, learning that, I really just enjoyed doing, like, podcasting and talking to other people like this one on one. I was like, well, let me just do that fitness coaching. I don't have to program out all their stuff. I mean, the main value of everything I have is just telling them about theories and how to do certain things. And thus I, started doing that, just online coaching through my podcast and through my network here. And, it's very scalable. Like I said, it's very fulfilling. And even when I told you I'm moving down to San Diego, I already, found a new gym there, and I'll probably work a couple days there just to get that local, meet
Yeah.
the local people and all that kind of stuff.
Man, it's nice. It's
So
different. I feel like it's like also like you can just kind of move your life with it. You can just kind of like, and this is not an existence you could have had in the past as a, working. You just kind of like, you're kind of stuck where you were, or you had to just like change all of your clients. You're like, well, I had all these people I was working with and now it's over. And it's like you could just kind of make a decision to move where you want to move because you just want to do it. And I feel it's just kind of this expansion of America where you can just live where you want to live because you want to live in that place, not because a job is telling you you have to move there. And that's just like a seismic shift, I feel like, in our reality with people.
yeah, and that's kind of what happened a little bit by force for me. Coming down to one gym, doing all this online stuff. And lucky enough for our family, my wife's business crushed it during COVID. She's in the marketing and branding for fine jewelry. It just made me
Whoa.
like lose faith in humanity that they needed jewelry and hundreds of thousands of dollars of brooches and pieces versus staying healthy. So I'm like, oh god, there's right there. I just wanted to throw in the towel. But hey, it worked out for me because she went off on her own, and now she's crushing it. And all the stuff I've learned, I've helped her too with her business and allowed me to do this. And now, lo and behold, we're both remote workers. When is this ever going to happen again? So we
Wow.
decided to make that move to San Diego. My family's over there. My sister has 3 kids, so our daughter will have like a sibling experience if we move down there. So that's what we did. We bought a new build condo down there. We're still going to rent the space out here in Huntington Beach because it's just by the water. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And now just do this, do some real estate, help my wife out. And everything in my life now is just overall health and keeping that stress mega low.
Man, I am with you. Stress mega low, Brad.
Yes. Done with it. Never again.
Done with all the garbage, the big stress. We're done with it. It's
Yeah.
like I
Nothing
like
good
you
comes from
speaking
it.
my language. Nothing good comes from that. Nothing.
So yeah, mental health, body health, and that's all that's more important to me now.
Wow, man, you're living the dream, man. I mean, you're doing like I feel like I'm doing the same thing. Like with it, it's like I feel like it's freedom. It's a freedom of choice about where you want to live and kind of the stress levels you want to, like I can't even imagine being somewhere where like I was like in a car for 2 hours a day fighting traffic, then going to some soul sucking office that was just like burying me every day. It's like, man, it's a rough existence. And
Yeah.
so I feel like we're entering a golden age in many ways if you accept that this is a possibility. Now, not everybody in our business is very accepting of the online environment. Have you ever run into that with colleagues who are like, I'm not into this idea, or I don't think it's going to last?
No, pretty much all, at least the trainers that I know that they should be doing it. It's
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that they're not those go-getters to go do it. Out
Uh,
of all the trainers I've seen, I've seen like between 60 and 80 in my course of 14 years and renting space for my gyms, and only a few of them had that drive of like really marketing themselves, finding a niche. lateraling to online if they need to, that kind of stuff. And the
Yeah.
rest just don't do much. So that's kind of what I try to preach if I'm helping any trainers out, is like, you need to find focus on one thing, be amazing at it, and think about doing something scalable online with that. And then you could still have fun and do your normal
Yeah.
with the general public locally. So that's, I've got a few trainers I'm helping out with that. And, it looks like they're doing pretty well. But I think this day and age, you can't just have one job anymore. Or if you do, like you
Mm.
said, it's going to be that grind. You're going to hate it. You're going to get stuck. There's nothing you can do because there's no time to do anything else, and you're relying on that paycheck. And my last job before I even jumped out onto this was working at the Port of Los Angeles, and that was a real high paying job. And man, the union was like a straight up mafia.
Wow.
Your upper management was even worse, and both sides just crushing you in the middle for doing your job. And they're just, both sides are playing games with each other, and we're stuck in the middle. And not only that, but the environment there is just like the worst air you could possibly be breathing, diesel
Mm.
fuel and everything. And it's just, couldn't take it after I was there for 5 years. So I was like, that was the last corporate job I ever had, and never looked back.
You painted a very dark picture of
Yeah,
that work, Brad.
that's all our domestic imports coming in the story.
Whew, that sounds horrible, man. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, and I
Oh
can't believe
my
I still have
goodness.
friends that are still there just doing it. They just a glutton for
Wow,
punishment and just want that paycheck. But yeah, not for
man.
me. I got to be free.
No, you're right, man. I think it's just an amazing thing, and I think about with what we do in our business. You're right. Like having more than one job is an interesting thing. I think now because it's like whether that is you've monetized your podcast, you're doing online programming, you're training a gym. I feel like there's more opportunities for trainers and fitness professionals than ever before. Do you feel that way about it?
Oh yeah. I mean, all you need is a little bit of freedom, but yeah, just be good at one thing, and that's fine. And once you are, you can start dabbling in other stuff. And who knows what avenue will take you somewhere else. Like for me, my main focuses are, doing this fitness online a little bit locally. I got my real estate license, and I'm going to start doing turnkey investment out of this state, not in this state. But
Not
I
in
was my own real
California.
I was my own realtor on my place. I'm going to get scored 10 grand just from that one thing. Like I've never
Oh,
made
nice.
10 grand in one hit from training.
Yeah.
And then I'm super into crypto, so I'm doing that, even though the market's pretty horrible right now. But I have faith. And I started doing another. I love podcasting so much. I'm starting a new podcast on how to get beginner podcasters up to at least where I am. It took me
Yeah.
3 years to get here. I wish I had someone like me when I first started.
Yeah.
Just not to waste all the time I did. But so it's
It's funny.
just doing
Pod
different things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me about your podcasting adventure. I'm interesting. Like, what would you tell yourself in the beginning? Like, if you could coach your past self from
Yeah.
the beginning, what would you tell your past self about starting a podcast?
Yeah, so, starting right off the get-go, it's not that hard to get, a decent setup, a light ring, a decent camera, a decent mic. Man, I've had problems with hosting platforms just as much as you,
Yep.
um and learning how to really look at analytics and like your retention on your podcast, like what makes listeners drop off. And that's why I started doing a lot of my podcasts like less than 15 minutes, just to
Yeah.
get that higher retention, because that's what scores bigger on your SEO for Apple and Spotify and that kind of stuff. And other than that, just not really knowing where I wanted to go, just me talking. Then I got a couple trainers on that weren't that great at speaking, and that kind of slowed down my podcast. Then I started getting guests, and then I just did too many guests and I lost my voice. So it's taken me some time to get the perfect kind of theme and setup for my show. So I mean, that'd been great if I could has started that 3 years ago. But yeah, because now I'm hitting about 200 views per episode in the first 30 days, and people just starting out are lucky if they get like 5.
Yeah.
So but I with that system, you can get there a lot faster than 3 years. But either way, it was an enjoyable experience the whole time. And like I said, I mostly just do this for fun and meeting people and expanding my horizon. And I just know that's why I wanted to do a couple different other podcasts. I just love it.
Yeah. It's actually found it's essentially networking.
Yeah.
on some level, and for trainers, it's interesting, or fitness professionals, it can be lead generation and things of that nature. But I always look at it as just I get to talk to my colleagues or different people. In my case, just a crazy amount of different people
Yeah.
all over the, like, I'm just trying to like soak in all this knowledge of like everything on the planet. But I love talking to my colleagues because it's just like I was doing that before I was doing this. I was just having meetings, having calls like, hey, we're in the same business. I'd love to pick your brain, just learn about you, stuff like that. And I think there's a lot of value in that. And I think it's just also another way to like actually get behind the scenes of a human.
Hmm.
And I was like, if you're doing this 5 minute piece, I've done stuff like this where you're going like a show, TV and stuff like that. It feels fake, honestly. It feels like, and it's like so much time for very little production that you get
Yeah.
out of it. But when I sit and talk to you, Brad, it's like we get to know each other actually. Like
Yeah. It's just
your
a
thoughts.
real conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not this like just crafted 5 minute piece, this and that. And I think that's the value, is like people actually getting to know you, and potential clients, they get to see like what you're actually like before they make an investment,
Yeah.
if someone's out there. So
And that's kind of the thing with my network, my local network group. That's always been the thing. Don't sell to everyone in the group. Your
yeah.
purpose is to meet people, get to really know them, get them to really trust you, and then just enjoy the experience, and all that other stuff will just come naturally. And that's how I've always kind of networked and met people, and not been real salesy or anything. I didn't really care. It all just, when you create that vibe and you open yourself up to everyone, it just leaves doors open, and then people start funneling in if they're interested. So it's just comes with the program.
Yeah, most definitely. Are you? I was curious about this because now we have some pretty big conferences coming up. Are you a big conference attendee or checking out stuff in our business with that?
I'm kind of lazy on traveling, so if it's like local, I go. But
You're like, if it's not like in LA or San
yeah,
Diego.
like my wife's always trying to get me to travel around the world. I just hate it. So she just goes with my daughter or her sister, and I'm like, yes, she's got someone to go with her. I'm such a homebody, man.
Yeah. I'm kind of a homebody too, but I'm trying to get to stuff like this summer. I'll be in LA for
Hmm.
IDEA. And like usually if it's in like Vegas,
Oh,
LA,
Vegas is my favorite place.
right?
So
Just like I'm there. Like I'm totally gonna be there. If it's in like a place I don't really like that much, I'm like, it's like
yeah, you got to
not
really
so
want that
sure.
conference.
Yeah, I gotta like really badly want to be there. Like, I don't know. I gotta be presenting there or something, but like you gotta have it in fun places, people. It's
That's
like,
it. Just put it in Vegas. You'll have no problem.
yeah. Actually, San Diego's a great spot for
Oh
conferences.
yeah,
Like, man, I used to always go to ISSA in San Diego and just love being down there at the convention center and walking down there. Oh, killer, man. Oh man. So
yeah.
cool.
There is one I'm like real into now, like kind of self biohacking, and I use my doctor and blood work and everything to be safe, and
Yeah.
just kind of push the envelope on certain things. But there's I've been watching this one podcast, and he mentioned there's some kind of biohacking conference coming up in Las Vegas. So I was like, that actually I might make that happen.
Brad will be there at the
When I try to
self
get to
biohacking.
Vegas 3 times a year anyway, so I'll just make that as one of my dips.
Just do it, man. I mean, you know
Yeah,
what? I'm there all the time. I'm there like once a month generally throughout the year for business. And I mean, if you're ever there, man, and I'm there, it's time to make it happen.
yeah, hell yeah,
I mean, I'll probably be in San Diego too, and I'll definitely be in LA coming up. So we have to connect sometime. Man, you seem like a fun guy.
yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome. I'm definitely down.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I'll
like.
shoot you that. I'll shoot you that one, and then tell me the one you're doing in LA. And
Oh yeah, mid
yeah,
July, man. Like
definitely go if I had someone.
July 13th through 16th is when it is.
Okay.
At the LA Convention Center. And it's just gonna be a good time, man. It's a huge conference, a lot of fun. And then I'd kind of do the I'm a big like hangout guy.
Yeah.
So like I'm kind of like don't want to go to the parties at the conference. I kind of want to do my own thing. So,
Hmm.
I end up like walking down, like all these different streets in LA and stuff, which could be bad
Yeah.
sometimes. You go down the wrong street in
Depending on
LA,
what time.
yeah, you can run into some bad areas, but some great bars, some great hangout spots, near crypto. arena and all that stuff, man. So, man, yeah, I would love to hang out sometime, man. You get the
Yeah,
chance.
absolutely.
Well, listen, we're gonna keep this pretty short. It's Friday, and I have some partying to do later. Like,
Yeah, that's me too, man.
right? It's time to kick it back a little bit. So tell everyone how they could connect with you about over 40 fitness hacks and just learn more about you.
Yeah, so my podcast, Over 40 Fitness Hacks, and that's 40, not spelled out. And the same thing for my website, over40fitnesshacks.com with the 40. And then my new podcast, I'm going to drop that tomorrow. It's called Step by Step Podcasting. It's just for brand new beginners.
Yeah.
I think if anyone's been in the game over a year and a half, they'll probably be just hearing the same stuff. But, if they're interested. And yeah, that's, and my website has all my contact info. And if anyone wants to reach out.
Fantastic. Brad, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and for sure we'll connect. I'll send you the links of the thing I was thinking of in Vegas, and shoot me yours. So
Yeah, let's do that. Awesome. Thanks, man.
absolutely.